And good morning. Wow. As I sit here this morning, there's some things some ideas that just keep reoccurring, thoughts that keep coming on as I've been meditating and since I woke up again between 3 and 4. Today it was at least after 3:30, which is a good thing. But I always wake up, it seems, between 3 and 4, usually between 3 and 3:30. Even when I don't go to bed till almost midnight, as was the case again last night. Today's title is Being Human During a Quantum Leap, and the blurb I wrote, make no mistake about it, humanity is undergoing a quantum leap in the process of spiritual evolution. Nothing can stop that. It is the divine plan of the ages. It is the purpose behind, underneath, and overshadowing all that has ever occurred, and especially what is occurring now. Earth has long been occupied by imposters, whose job, from that divine perspective, has been to awaken humanity. Their job is nearly over. Soon their services will no longer be needed. Talking about being human came to me actually yesterday, and it was really strong last night as I drove home from hearing my son's band play the second night in a row. This time it was Elephant Gun. The previous night it was just the bass player and my son from Elephant Gun and a different lead singer and guitar player. They don't even have a name for that group yet, but they've been playing some gigs recently, I understand. My son seems to play in so many different bands. Anyway, as I was driving home, it was reinforced the idea that I had earlier in the day about some of the challenges of being human at this time. And of course, I have my own challenges, as those of you who listen regularly realize. But the entire world is engulfed in this giant chess game between what generally are looked at as forces of light and forces of darkness. And oftentimes it's referred to as a war or the battle of the ages that has gone on and on and on. And the powers that have been, the imposters, the occupiers, people think of the people occupying Wall Street and that movement around the world. The true occupiers on this planet are the people that have occupied the positions of power, the positions of authority and control, the positions of mass mind control, in fact, through religion, through advertising and other media, through education, through our entire structure of finance and government and false leadership. The occupiers are those whose job it has been, as I implied in the blurb, to wake us up. It was said that during this Kali age, the dark would get really, really dark. And the reason for that is so that the light could get really, really bright, because that seems to be the way it has to work. I mean, I'd love it to work differently. I'd love it to be an easier path. And I often say to Spirit, I like it easy. I like it easy. And liking it easy is the reason that many of us have jumped on ideas of easy salvation, of getting saved. When I was young, the idea was there was going to be a great tribulation coming on this planet. That's what I was taught. That's what all of the premillennial rapture fundamentalist evangelical Christians were taught. That there's going to come a time when you're going to have a mark of the beast to even buy and sell anything. And life is going to be really hard, but don't worry about it, because God's going to whisk us all off in a rapture. One shall be Two shall be in the field, one shall be taken, and the other will be left behind. Two shall be in a bed, one shall be taken, and the other left behind. And we were taught that the good people would be taken, and the bad people would be left behind to suffer these horrible, terrible events that take place during the tribulation, when all sorts of bad things were going to happen on the earth. And bad things have been happening on the earth. It has been, as I said yesterday, hell on earth. Thursday, the skies here over Melbourne, Florida were crisscrossed with contrails. I mean, they were spraying something all over. I mean, there were so many planes in the sky at the same time, just crisscrossing this entire area of Florida. And they've been putting poison in our medicine and in our food and in our water. Everything that's been done has been done to try to stop the process of spiritual awakening and evolution, to dull our senses, to dull our minds. So being human during this quantum leap has not been an easy task. Many times our energy is drained by focusing beams of energy at us, electromagnetic fields of energy, the purpose of which, from the people that are actually designing it, is to drain us. All the technologies have been used against humanity and against the awakening. So being human during this time of a quantum leap is certainly challenging and an opportunity if you want to see it that way. But especially if you're not aware of what's going on, it can be tremendously challenging. But the image that kept coming to me this morning, and I've tried to turn it off, but it's difficult because I don't know. I'm not a channeler. I don't ever claim to channel anything other than the ideas that come to me, and I believe lots of times that's through my higher self that happens. And what's coming to me, I almost don't even want to talk about it, you see, because it seems so crazy to me. But I think that we were taught the rapture backwards. And I'm having the idea of a kind of a rapture, but it's not the good people that are taken off the planet because they need to be saved and rescued from all the bad people and all the bad things that are happening on earth. That's not what it's about. It's the reverse of that. It's like the arresting of all the people that are hindering the divine plan, of all the people whose job is over and they've been told by source agents, white knights, whatever you want to call the good guys, the angelic realm, the ascended masters, the leaders have been told, your time is up. It's time to lay down your plan to dominate the whole earth, because that's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to do that. We've shown you lots of times how we've been able to disconnect your weaponry and render it useless. And yet we've allowed you to keep going. But then in time and again, we've shown you again and again that we have greater technology than you have. You haven't, even though much of your technology has been used against the people and much is still hidden from the people, we still have higher technology. The light still wins. And these dark entities that have been playing this role have really loved the role. And they really love to make it bad for humans that are either clueless or even especially sometimes humans that are waking up or have been awake. They try to put all sorts of challenges in our path, such as the lawsuit in my case. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, it's going on all across the world. Look at some of the third world countries. Look at the war-ravaged places. They're trying to do that in the United States. They're trying to do that in the Western world. That would be their plan. I don't believe that they're going to accomplish their plan. Last night in our spiritual enlightenment group, we watched part one of a 4-hour David Icke video, one of a recent video where he spoke in Los Angeles. I don't really know the timetable, but I suspect it was this year in the summer, perhaps. I mean, I think it's one of the latest, if not the latest video that's out. In any case, you listen to that and you think how powerful these control freaks are that have occupied positions of power in this world. And yet, what I keep seeing is something different, and yet there's even a voice inside of me, an accuser, if you will, that says it's just wishful thinking, Ron. You know, you want them to be arrested. And I've long believed that ultimately those that don't voluntarily submit, because everybody has the chance to come home now. Everybody has a chance to be forgiven. Everybody. No exceptions. No exceptions. They're all roles. We've only played roles. Sometimes with relish and sometimes with great complaining. But we've all played roles. And from God's perspective, we're all God's children. Again, there is no separation. That is the single biggest lie and the lie behind all other lies. We have never been separate from God because it's impossible. We've never been disconnected from God's love in a reality sense of the word separation, because that can't happen. God always loves because God is love. That's the nature of the cosmos. It's the nature of the universe. But the image that I was getting, I mean, we've had channeled messages of them sweeping up the good people onto the motherships and stuff like that. What if we've got it all wrong? What if the sweeping up is the arresting of the people that have been the occupiers of the planet, that have tried to create the hell on earth for everyone else, that have made being human such a tremendous challenge, health-wise, and even just maintaining a positive attitude sometimes is a tremendous challenge because of all the energies that are being unleashed on the planet at this time. Everything is chaotic, and out of chaos comes order. That's what the game plan of the dark has been, to bring order out of chaos. But it was their kind of order that made everybody sheeple, everybody slaves, everybody complacent, everybody consenting to their rule. Well, that's not the divine plan. The divine plan is a golden age, peace on earth, a total different image than what the powers that have been have wanted to bring about. And so we've been caught up in all of this drama, all of this activity. It's going on everywhere. The poisoning, the mind control. It's going on everywhere, every day, across the planet. And especially in first world countries that have been the ones that have been enriched and apparently empowered. We have been empowered to awaken everybody else. But what if these occupiers, these imposters at rulership, and remember, from the divine perspective, a ruler is one who serves the people. The greatest is always the servant, never the one who dominates others. That is a false paradigm. That is the old way. That will end. It must end, and it is ending. How it ends, the image that I keep getting is arrest. And I've thought, well, it's arrest by some soldiers or military or police force that operates on the planet that sweeps in and arrests these CEOs and these people, these politicians and these bankers and this dark cabal, and these people get arrested in mass numbers. But the image that I'm getting now is the arrest may be carried out, as I was taught when I was younger, by the angels or by the extraterrestrials, if you will. They reap the harvest of souls. And the way that's done is the reverse of what I was taught when I was a fundamentalist Christian. They take all of the imposters, supplanters, and arrest them, and they pull them up onto the motherships. Now, I hope that, here's what I feel about that. I would hope that any type of arrest, people would know who was arrested, why, and how, and all of the details would come out. And maybe it will. Maybe they'll be taken up on motherships and will be actually shown the motherships, shown the George Bushes and the Barack Obamas. And I still don't buy into this thing that Barack Obama is some kind of a savior. He might be, but he hasn't shown his true colors at all, as far as I can tell. And I'm sorry for those of you that still want to believe that Barack is a good guy, a Syrian that's come here with a divine mission to right the planet. I've heard you, I've listened time and again, and I keep looking for it to happen. I had tremendous hope in the initial thing when I heard some of the early videos about Barack Obama and saw all the orbs at his big speech, his acceptance speech when he was elected in Chicago, and this great big speech he gave, and all these orbs were all over the place. I've watched the pictures. I've seen it, but I don't see it. I don't see him as doing anything good. Although I have long said, for those of you that have listened, that some of the elite, some of the people that look like they're dark workers, are all of a sudden going to show up as light workers. And I do believe that that's going to happen. And I do believe that's the opportunity for all of the workers of evil, the judges and the people that have held places where they've done awful things. And I am going to issue a writ of mandamus against the courts here in Brevard County and the appeal court. I am going to issue that. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done the paperwork. I've still been contemplating and meditating on it. But being human during this time, I have to do things that I'd rather not do. I have to even tell you things that even to me seem far-fetched. I don't have to. But it's just so compelling that, hey, they're trying to make you afraid. They're trying to make you afraid. There are beings that have the ability to arrest those that have been in control. And I suppose that's the central message from today, that we don't have to be afraid. I know how challenging that is when the whole world, excuse me, boy, that doesn't usually happen during one of my talks, but it just did. They're not going to be able to get away with what they've planned. It's not going to happen that way. I keep getting assurance that it won't. How it's going to be, how they're going to get arrested, how it's going to be stopped, how many of them are going to turn over to the light and start telling the truth and start. See, the truth will set them free just like it sets everybody free. True confessions. It would set everybody free. Just tell the truth and say you're sorry and mean it from your heart. Not to save your ass, but because you're genuinely recognizing the harm you've done to others, the harm you've done to yourself. And when you ask forgiveness, you're going to be forgiven, even if you're the thief on the cross. And the Son of God will forgive you. Yes. I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. Yes. Namaste.